Тем временем на сцену
Meanwhile, we are welcoming Mikhail Yakushev on stage, Vice President ICANN for Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Mikhail, I welcome you. Good morning. Can I speak Russian, or is it better for me to speak English? Fine, I'll try to speak slower so that our interpreters will have the possibility to interpret me. First of all, it's a great pleasure for me to be in front of you and speaking among colleagues and friends, and I was requested to talk to you about the new gTLD program that our corporation is working on, because recently ICANN is being mentioned due to some politicized question of passing on the control function of NTI. We are still working. We are working in normal mode, and on top of the NTI transition issues, we are also working with an ongoing issues related to serving the registries and registrators around the world. And in the plan of our ongoing development, indeed, the largest project will be the program of the new domains of joint use, common use that is being implemented throughout the recent years. I would report to you about the results of the program and what we are to be expected to reach in the future. What is the progress? What can you do related to the new round of respective solutions and related to respective domains? Well, first of all, how come new generic top-level domains are so important for us? That's because a number of issues related to innovation, new domains are new approaches, a more comfortable approach to the way domain internet spaces servicing. We are making it more convenient by internationalizing domain names for those people, citizens of Earth, that do not use the Latin alphabet. And of course, in the process of gTLD, we are looking at the safety and security and stability, and DNS is a very good proof of that. This slide shows you the main reasons why we can speak about the importance of new domains for business, and I would shortly cover results, giving respective examples. As of now, by June of 2015, some 600, maybe even more, domains of the new top-level domains are delegated. As of mid-April, you see the geographic breakdown, and 159 new domains that are covering Europe or large Europe. 6 domains are those of ours. Unfortunately, other countries have not declared new countries from the region I'm responsible for. Thus, at the Buenos Aires meeting of ICANN, there would be renewed information, but they are confirming the trend that I'm talking about here and shown on the slide. The main part of the domains are from United States, Canada, Northern American countries. Europe is going second, significant interest in Asian countries, and significantly lower is the interest of the African countries, Arab world, but that can, of course, change. On the screen, you see a timeline of how, following what principle and in what time frames, we see various changes, what has happened. I'd like to remind, we had 1,930 applications. Some of them were implemented, some were called back and withdrawn, and we see a respective process of approval, signing contracts, delegating domains. Thus, all these 1,930 applications will be considered and implemented. This is how it looks time-wise for you to see what is taking place when, what years. As you see, some of the processes are already completed of studying the applications, talking about the delegation. That process will go through the end of 2016. ICANN is working, and This graph shows you how it is taking place. For the convenience of classification of new domains, the following grouping was offered for classification groups: like domains for business, domains for various groups and communities, regional domains, and internationalized domains. Well, everyone understands this, has taken part in this. I would like to give you exact number of examples to understand what are the differences. Among the market leaders, we started having an interest XYZ domain as among the leaders of the market. Registering it was an interest to have something similar to the Russian ETS, analog ETS, etc. It's developing quite well as a domain for businesses. A number of domains that are special aspects but related to earning money, such as .bank, .club, for example, .menu, everything related to restaurants and diets that are quite a good domain. Talking about communities and various social groups, domain .hiv for people who have specific diseases, as an example for specific diseases, for them to clarify those aspects and to clarify solutions that would allow people to live comfortably even if infected. Domain.gal, that's the beginning for with .cat from with Catalonia, for this for Galician. That's something between Spanish and Portuguese, quite well spread among the country, in the countries where the Spanish colonizers' descendants live. Something like domain.rus that was declared for that. London, just like Berlin, is quite successful, just like Moscow, example of regional domains, and quite clear domains in non-Latin, internationalized, for example, Arabic script for network, as well as Chinese script for healthy. There are plenty of similar examples, proving that there are plenty of various stories related to that. I would like to describe the issues of contracting and processing of applications with further signing contracts with the registry. On the graph, you see what were the plans, what the roadmap that was expected for the consideration of applications to maximize, so that all of the process will take maximum 9 months with all the intermediary milestones. The colleagues present in the audience that have went through that procedure know that a number of cases things were going rather smooth in some cases and quick. Other cases there were some delays. It's quite a new procedure. There are some examples of what is taking place after contract signing and delegation. This slide shows how what was the difference between expectations and the reality. We have to admit that on a number of components, the allocated time periods were not met at reality, and the cycle of signing respective accreditation contract before delegation that was to take some 70 days, on average is taking about 139, about 4 months, which, and respectively we see the bottlenecks where we need to work better, and on average we are overcoming those challenges as we go forward. Once again, a graph that is reflecting how various procedures should take place working with the respective application. The maximum period of time from the initiation of processing should take 365 days, and it must be met. Now, probably the most important element, what's next? On the assumptions on related to conducting second and third cycle of processing applications for the common use, it's possible that first level domain might reach some 20,000 by 2020. Significant figure. It might require us to introduce certain changes, how all those domains have to be considered in routing tables, etc., which is significantly changing technical landscape and thus requires rethinking how can we process such significant number of first level domains, which is obviously lead to changes in economics, in routing, on the way first level domains would be of interest with such a great diversity, the possibility of getting first level domain and development of search system development will lead to the fact that it doesn't really matter, significantly matter in what domain some resource is located if it is identified by a search engine and the user is getting whatever address that it is think that he's interested in, instead of thinking in what specific domain, what area that special resource is located. Respectively, right now we are going through the review process on the implementation of the existing program of the first level domains to get better prepared for the new round. Respectively, there is a whole set of joint work in ICANN framework regarding how best to conduct the following rounds, and everything that has taken place is identified in line with 6 parameters: internal efficiency, showing how the staff of ICANN meets respective expectations, that external effectiveness, how our external colleagues are satisfied with that, how fair it is, fairness, with the equal treatment related processing applications of various applicants, predictability, that's to what degree a person or an organization that is interested in taking part of the new first level domain names program would be able to calculate how much effort and expenses that would require them for planning their activity. Next parameter is security and stability, the degree to which the availability of specific domain and the technical readiness of the applicant to services would meet ICANN's security standards, as well as the last one, the alignment with the guidance requirements. Guidance with the requirements that were developed for the implementation of the program, and these are the dimensions how the assessment of new gTLDs is being assessed, and there are various review areas which is conducted following all the stages you see on the picture. Thus, the publication of the report on the topic is the second quarter, by the end of the second quarter of 2015. Thus, everything will be known by the Buenos Aires meeting. Talking about review now, root stability. Issues that are to confirm the security or applicability of new gTLD program for existing system in the DNS root system is considered, to examine. Respective support group and consultative teams of ICANN are working, and the work is to be completed in this first half of the year, respectively. There is significant amount of work being done on accounting for intellectual property as well as other rights in other various domains. You know, there were plenty of various conflict situations, all of which were were resolved in one way or the other. We heard claims of various governmental and other interest groups that regarding the domains that infringed on the property rights or the public interest. For example, everyone is familiar with the domain Kazan, but there were a number of other phenomena that were not predicted and they were not given a significant attention. For example, in the United States of America, a destiny of .sox domain is being discussed to avoid the possibility of working with specific companies or manipulating with specific companies that would want to own that domain or not respective. There are some various issues on the agenda by the end to be complete by the end of the Q4 of the current year.
And one more type of review is everything which is connected with the rights of consumer rights and the anti-monopoly policies of the providing competition and securing competition. And here we consider the whole range of questions which probably in our region probably not that much pay attention to, but for European countries, for the North American countries, it's a very important issue. And the work will be finished in the Q3 of this year. And we have organized one more working group, which is called the INGCCT, and this group will implement all those recommendations which have been prepared or being prepared by the GNSO and ALAC, those consultative bodies which we have in ICANN. And we consider that, we think that in these 70 parameters which we have developed, we have to give clear answers how successful this current work is being organized and run. And where a lot of people were invited to work upon these surveys and reviews, and I just going very quickly because it all can be found in the ICANN side. So we considered a lot of economic questions, the whole range of problems we considered. And there is a link to the resources, so which can allow you what has been done and where you can take part in. And let me draw your attention to that in the next 2 weeks. There will be a meeting in Buenos Aires. There will be a meeting, ICANN meeting, and these issues will be dealt with in very possible detail. And this is the timeline. This is how we organize our work, our survey work, and our supervision work of where we show where these surveys have to finish. And you can see from here that it's not highly probable that the next round will be implemented earlier than 2016, because of course all our recommendations which will be prepared, all these recommendations will have to be implemented through changing documentation. Nevertheless, for the in the next 2 years, for example, end of 2017, it will be the time to begin new round for the first level domains registration. And here you see on this timeline how this work is organized and what are the time frames for this work. So basically, it's what I wanted to tell you, and I'm asking you and inviting you to work together to take part in this work, and especially I'm inviting those representatives of the countries but nevertheless, it was very useful for all of us. What will happen with the Huris? So you understand what you're talking about. And can you tell more about your initiatives? And because we are, as a result of your work, we will be outlawed. What do you mean? What do you mean outlawed? What do you mean the awful things? Well, we have to work according to American legislation as a result of your work. But it's not our question. It's well. Actually, these results under the pressure of Americans to concentrate everything in one place. It's well, let me just separate your question on several parts, because there is yes, there's a collision between the requirements mentioned in the accreditation agreement and the requirements of the national legislation. And this problem is not just a Russian problem. It's a problem of the interaction with the European countries and American jurisdiction, in which ICANN works. And yes, there is such a problem. It's a serious, and it has to be solved. The second is a problem connected with the WHOIS and this number of parameters, which is considered not fitting to the realities. And I worked in the working group which reconsidered the policies. And the results of this work was ignored by ICANN management, and we decided to organize one more working group which gave recommendations which are still not approved by the management. When we talked about the repository, about accreditation to get data from this repository, and most importantly, these data should be verified. And so it's just breaking the existing system when WHOIS has been existing with quite simple requirements, but without verification of the data which it contains. So at least minimum two problems which we have in this case. And as for the first of these problems, it's you have to go and talk on the national level, and this is the only way. I see no other alternative to solve this problem and satisfy everybody, because how internet should work sustainably and safely, and the requirements in different countries are different, and it's different issues, and it's different levels, different dimensions. And sometimes it's not understanding of how the global internet is, not understand how the global internet is developing, and misunderstanding on the national level sometimes leads to such mistakes and bad results. So that's why, yes, there are worries. If there are any worries and disturbances on the level of national level, so we have to talk about it on the national level. Well, our government stays aside. I mean, it doesn't want to do it, and it's not on the government level. It's on the business, commercial level. It's a big business matters, not government matters. So what's wrong with it? What do you think it's bad for the planet? What's bad for the... Well, I'm ready to start the philosophical discussion, but if there is a political issue, it should be solved on the political level. If it's a business problem between two businesses, so let's solve it on the business terms, in business terms. If this an organization is ready to accept responsibilities and perform accordingly, well, let me just explain. A lot of people don't know about it, and because of specification 1 in one of the applications, we are supposed to be the internet police, and to identification of the malicious content. All registers should monitor the content of domains. In domains, the mechanism is getting stricter and stricter. So we have to monitor any kind of activities. So the ICANN hires auditors, and their requirements become stricter and stricter. Okay, let's go this way. This is the issue which needs very serious discussion to avoid any misunderstanding. That is why, rather than just a lot of people don't know what we're talking about, because without any text on the screen, you cannot analyze this text. What I would offer by the next hour meeting to prepare presentation precisely about this in order to make sure that if there is any problem or no about content monitoring and the way you understand it, and there will be a matter to talk about. Right now, we're talking about nothing. A lot of people didn't pay attention to this little paragraph that ICANN has a right to amend contracts. For many people, for many registered, it's becoming costly. And it's not the function of the internet police. Okay, let's check the text and everything, because and I expect that according to the all these requirements will spread on the all internet, I think. So thank you, Dima. So thank you very much, Dima. We have not a lot of time, but we do have it. Would you please press the button right there? Yes, a green light should go on. You can just detach microphone. Roman Rashkov, the Kommersant newspaper. Mikhail, I would like to know the ICANN viewpoint on the issue which was discussed yesterday. How you see the situation around how this problem will be solved with the prolongation of the ICANN and ICANN agreement, if there is a problem or no, and what scenario is the thing most probable, and what's ICANN take on the announcement of the Minister of Communications, Mr. Shogolev, that ICANN is closely connected with the Minister of Trade of United States, and you have to overcome this situation. You're closely connected, ICANN, with the Minister of Trade of United States, and it's cannot be like that. ICANN is quite positive about what you asked. So whatever the decision will be, we will agree. We are organizers of this discussion, but we cannot foresee in what way this discussion will go, because it's a matter of everybody of us, of our internet users, of the ones who register. And this is the something which we have to do, must satisfy everybody, all interested parties, and what kind of decision it will be. And ICANN will do everything. And as for the Shogolev's presentation, I never heard it. Well, everybody knows that ICANN was registered by the Minister of United States, Minister of Trade. Yes, Internet developed from the military ideas, and then ICANN was organized as a global organization with the most functions of which is the root functions performed independently of any government organization, and the Ministry of Trade said that it's ready to refuse from the controlling function, and we see that they're really doing so from the March of the last year. Oh, not everybody heard this question. Oh, we have 10 more minutes. What are the questions? Yesterday we listened to very good presentations, and today we'll have some more about how the protocol community and how the internet numbers community moving towards fulfilling the requirements of the American government about transition, and we heard nothing about how discussion goes around among in the domain community. We will catch up with the deadline. Maybe the question is not only addressed to you, but we have a domain specialist, and he's the owner of one of them. Dmitry, maybe he will tell us something. I really wouldn't like to comment anything, because I'm an ICANN representative, because here we have to involve the registrators of registry. I would like just to ask you, wait please for the 10 days until we have this meeting in Buenos Aires, where we hope these problems will be solved to some extent. And how Dmitry is involved in this discussion, better ask Dmitry. But if you can't say nothing, so let's just wait for Buenos Aires. We have to understand that in domain community, it doesn't work like we have in our community, because we have multi-stakeholder community. It's the way of the Marxism. We have the public is involved, the owners of the trade brands, businesses, government, and others. They do not have self-regulation. It's just a big zoo, excuse my expressions, big circus in which they build super complicated constructions and ideas. I mean, well, thank you. Dmitry proved all my suspicions, which Churchill said, democracy, it's an ugly way of organizing society, but we haven't invented anything better than that. So in this democratic society, that's where we live. A lot of people say that ICANN is an American conspiracy, and it all works for America, and I work a lot in different organizations. I don't work in GNCO, and well, yes, not everything is perfect, but I don't think there is any way to change it. You just come and participate. Dmitry, you are a participant of this project. You really feel the government pressure, United States pressure on yourself? No, I feel no pressure at all. I just pay taxes. I'm tax resident of United States. Well, I think that I can. I see that thanks to you, but some other people from ICANN. I see progress, and I see where ICANN goes through Americanization, and I see people who can use the fellowship programs, and they have good websites. Well, there are a lot of positive things, actually. You can say a lot that this is difficult to go to Buenos Aires. Yes, it's really expensive, but you can take part in it remotely. I don't see any big problems, big drawbacks. I think that ICANN is quite simple to join, to take part in working groups on this. Well, thank you very much for these good words. But I would like to clarify and illustrate what Dmitry said about the fellowship. And from our region, you don't have a lot of applications for the fellowship. As a result, we don't have a lot of participants on this program. So far as Russia is quite developed country, it stopped participating in this program, so we don't have just very, very few of these applications. We have some applications from the Middle Asia countries, not a lot, just very few, but at the same time, hundreds and dozens of applications come from Bangladesh and Nigeria. And as you see, that they show more interest to these problems, which is regrettable. And if that's exactly what I'm saying. Russia is developed countries as the European community countries. Yes, that's what I said. It's but from Russia we don't have we had very few applications, and the ones which we did have, they were all satisfied, all these applications. Okay, colleagues, if you don't have any more questions, I'm ready to answer any questions about ICANN. But if nobody wants to talk now, I'm ready to talk during the breaks, the lunch breaks and other breaks. So thank you for the presentation. We have 5 more minutes, but you don't have any more questions. So we'll thank Mikhail for this